Have you ever wandered through a forest edge, open meadow, or along a quiet riverbank without realizing you passed by food that once sustained entire cultures? Long before grocery stores, imported fruit, and tidy produce displays, people depended on wild fruits growing naturally around them. These weren't rare treats, they were dependable staples. Sweet or tart, nutrient-rich, and deeply tied to the landscape. Today, many of these fruits are overlooked, dismissed as weeds, or simply forgotten. But they deserve a return. Not out of nostalgia alone, but for food resilience, nutrition, and rebuilding our connection to the natural world. Here are 10 once essential wild fruits that native foragers gathered. Fruits that belong back in our gardens and diets. 1. Pawpaw. The pawpaw is the largest fruit native to North America, yet it remains one of the continent's most underrated food plants. Long before modern food systems, indigenous communities valued pawpaws as an important seasonal food. From the outside, the fruit looks modest, but inside is a creamy custard-like pulp with a flavor often compared to banana, mango, melon, and a touch of vanilla. For people far from tropical climates, this was an extraordinary source of sweetness and calories. Pawpaw trees naturally grow in fertile woodland understories, along rivers and near streams. They often form patches through underground suckers, which made them easy to find and harvest year after year. Native foragers enjoyed the fruit fresh in late summer and early autumn, a key time for building energy reserves before winter. In some areas, the pulp was dried or blended with other foods to help preserve it. Nutritionally, pawpaws provide carbohydrates, vitamin C, magnesium, potassium, and antioxidant compounds, making them both filling and health-supporting. One of the pawpaw's greatest advantages is how well it fits its native ecosystem. Unlike many modern fruit varieties bred for looks and transport, pawpaws evolved in place. They naturally resist numerous pests and diseases, partly thanks to protective chemicals in their leaves and bark. Their unusual flowers are pollinated by beetles and flies rather than bees, reflecting ancient ecological relationships that industrial farming rarely considers. Despite all this, pawpaws never became a mainstream commercial fruit. Their thin skin bruises easily and they ripen fast, which makes shipping difficult. So they faded from large-scale agriculture, not because they lack taste or nutrition, but because they don't suit industrial distribution. Rediscovering pawpaws reminds us that some of the most valuable foods are local, resilient, and deeply connected to the land. Growing them in home gardens or food forests helps restore a native abundance that has been hiding in plain sight. 2. Service berries, sometimes called Juneberries, shadbush, or Saskatoons, were once among the most relied upon fruits for indigenous peoples across North America. These small bluish-purple berries resemble blueberries, but often offer a deeper, more layered flavor with subtle almond or apple notes from their edible seeds. Ripening in early summer, they were often one of the first sweet foods available after winter, making them especially important to native foragers. Communities gathered service berries in large amounts. The fruit was eaten fresh, dried into raisin-like snacks, or crushed and combined with dried meat and fat to make pemmican, an energy-dense food that could last for months or even years. Nutritionally, service berries are impressive. They contain antioxidants, iron, fiber, vitamin C, and natural sugars, providing both quick energy and lasting nourishment. Beyond their fruit, serviceberry trees offered reliability and beauty. They tolerate cold climates, dry spells, poor soils, and strong winds, thriving where many other fruit trees fail. In spring, they burst into clouds of white blossoms. In summer, green foliage frames clusters of ripening berries. In autumn, leaves turn brilliant shades of red, orange, and gold. Few plants deliver so much across the seasons. As agriculture shifted toward monocultures and imported produce, serviceberries slipped out of the food landscape and became mostly ornamental. Many people recognize the tree but don't realize the fruit is edible, or that it once helped sustain entire communities. Unlike delicate modern crops, serviceberries need little care, no heavy chemical inputs, and integrate well with wildlife, feeding birds and supporting pollinators. Bringing serviceberries back isn't just about reintroducing a fruit. It's about restoring a practical, time-tested relationship with the land. They represent food security, adaptability, and ecological harmony. For gardeners seeking resilient, low-maintenance plants suited to changing climates, Service berries are a living example that traditional knowledge still holds powerful solutions. 3. American persimmon. Before Asian persimmons became common in orchards and markets, the American persimmon was already a treasured native fruit across much of North America. From the Midwest down through the Southeast, this hardy tree provided a seasonal sweetness that people eagerly awaited. When perfectly ripe, the fruit becomes incredibly rich and smooth, with a flavor often compared to honey, dates, caramel, and deep brown sugar. Those who gathered it traditionally understood one key rule: patience. Unripe persimmons are extremely astringent and unpleasant, but once fully mature, often after autumn frosts, they soften, darken, and turn intensely sweet. At this stage, they were eaten fresh, mashed into pulp, baked into breads and puddings, or dried to preserve for colder months. American persimmons were prized not just for taste, but for dependability. These trees handle drought, poor soils, heat, and general neglect far better than many orchard fruits. After establishment, they require little care and can bear heavily for decades. Their strong root systems allow them to thrive where apples or peaches might struggle. Ecologically, they are just as valuable. Their fruit feeds deer, raccoons, birds, foxes, and other wildlife. Their flowers benefit native pollinators, and their dense wood was historically used for tools and durable goods. Even so, the fruit never became commercially dominant because it ripens unevenly and bruises easily. Drawbacks for shipping, but irrelevant for home growers and foragers. The American persimmon reminds us that extraordinary sweetness often comes from learning natural timing rather than forcing uniform harvests. It's a native abundance that still grows quietly along forest edges and fields for those who know when to look. 4. Beach plum. On the sandy shores and coastal dunes of the northeastern United States grows a fruit perfectly adapted to harsh conditions, the beach plum. For coastal indigenous communities, this resilient shrub provided an important seasonal food in landscapes where traditional farming could be difficult. Beach plums are small, round fruits that ripen to deep purple or nearly black, often with a dusty blue coating. Their flavor is bold, tart, rich, and complex. While they can be eaten fresh by those who enjoy sharp fruit, they truly shine when cooked. They have long been prized for making outstanding jams, jellies, sauces, and syrups with far more depth than many cultivated plums. What makes beach plums especially impressive is their toughness. They grow in sandy, low-nutrient soils, tolerate salt spray, withstand strong winds, and endure drought. Their spreading roots help hold dunes together and reduce erosion, making them valuable both as food plants and as protectors of fragile coastal land. Historically, beach plums were gathered in abundance, and local food traditions formed around them. As development expanded and wild coastal areas shrank, the fruit gradually faded from everyday awareness. Their uneven ripening and variable fruit size made them unsuitable for industrial farming, but ideal for small-scale harvest and home use. Today, their resilience may be more relevant than ever. With rising sea levels, stronger storms, and increasing soil salinity affecting coastal agriculture, beach plums continue to thrive exactly where many conventional crops fail. They offer a practical, edible answer for challenging environments. Bringing beach plums back means more than restoring a fruit. It means learning again how to work with landscapes rather than against them, and recognizing that some of the most valuable food plants are those already perfectly designed for their environment. 5. Chokecherry. The name might sound unappealing, but chokecherry was one of the most important wild fruits for many indigenous nations across North America. Long before orchards and commercial fruit farms, these hardy trees provided dependable harvests in places where cultivated fruit struggled. The berries grow in heavy clusters and ripen to deep red or nearly black, making it possible to gather large amounts at once. Raw chokecherries are intensely tart and drying to the mouth, a strong first impression that hides their real value. Traditional foragers knew that preparation was the key. Cooking, drying, or fermenting the fruit softens its astringency and reveals deep, complex flavors, often described as rich, wine-like, with subtle almond notes from the pits. Historically, the berries were crushed whole, skins, pulp, and pits together, and dried into firm cakes. These preserved foods were dense in nutrients and could be stored for months or even years. Chokecherry played a major role in pemmican, the long-lasting food made from dried meat, fat, and fruit. The berries contributed acidity, flavor, and natural preservation, turning pemmican into a balanced survival food for travel and winter use. This shows how central chokecherry was, not just a seasonal treat, but a foundation of food security. Ecologically, chokecherry is extremely adaptable. It grows across vast regions, plains, valleys, foothills, and mountains, and tolerates cold, drought, poor soil, and wind. While modern taste may overlook its bold flavor, chokecherry offers something rare today: deep cultural significance, exceptional toughness, and a long history of supporting sustainable food traditions. 6. Buffalo berry. Buffalo berry is another overlooked native fruit that once held major importance, particularly in the dry and demanding environments of the Great Plains and northern regions. These bright red berries grow on thorny shrubs that succeed where few other fruiting plants can, in dry soils, full sun, strong winds, and low rainfall. In landscapes that seem inhospitable, buffalo berry quietly produces nourishment. For indigenous foragers, buffalo berries were valued for both nutrition and adaptability. They are especially rich in vitamin C, which helped protect health during long winters when fresh food was limited. While the berries can be eaten fresh when fully ripe, they were often processed. Drying improved storage, and cooking mellowed their sharp taste into something deeper and more enjoyable. One of the most unique traditional foods made from buffalo berries is sometimes called Indian ice cream. When the ripe berries are whipped with water, they create a thick pink foam, almost like a natural mousse. This happens because the fruit contains natural foaming compounds. Sweetened with other fruits or honey, it became both a nourishing and celebratory dish. A perfect example of deep knowledge of local plants. Buffalo berry shrubs also improve the land itself. They fix nitrogen in the soil, enriching poor ground and helping surrounding plants grow better. This makes them regenerative, supporting ecosystems while providing food. In a time when drought, soil decline, and climate stress are growing concerns, buffalo berry stands out as a plant already adapted to tough conditions. It needs little care, thrives where modern crops fail, feeds people, and restores soil, carrying generations of ecological wisdom within it. Reintroducing buffalo berry isn't only about adding a fruit to our diets. It's about rediscovering resilience and a more balanced relationship with the land. 7. Mayhaw. Mayhaw is a small native tree of the southeastern United States that once held real importance in seasonal foraging traditions, yet today it's known mostly in local pockets. It naturally grows in wetlands, river bottoms, and floodplains, places where many fruit trees fail. That ability alone made it valuable. In early spring, when winter food stores were nearly gone and fresh harvests were still weeks away, mayhaw fruits ripened right on time to provide brightness, nutrition, and flavor. The fruits are small, round, and typically bright red, though some lean toward orange or yellow. Eaten fresh, they're sharply sour, almost startlingly tart, but that acidity is exactly why they shine in the kitchen. Their bold flavor made them ideal for preserving. Foragers and early settlers turned mayhaws into clear jellies, syrups, sauces, and tonics, believed to aid digestion and overall health. Mayhaw jelly became especially famous, jewel-like in color and fresh tasting, almost like bottled springtime. Mayhaw trees are also valued for toughness. They tolerate periodic flooding, dense clay soils, and variable growing conditions that would stress most orchard fruits. They bloom early, offering nectar and pollen to pollinators at a time when few other food sources are available. Today, mayhaw remains a regional specialty in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and eastern Texas. It never fit large-scale commercial systems, but in an era of heavier rains and unpredictable weather, its natural adaptation to wet landscapes makes it increasingly relevant. Reviving mayhaw means rediscovering a fruit already designed for resilience. 8. Elderberry. Elderberry is one of the most respected native fruits in traditional foraging, valued as both nourishment and medicine. For countless generations, indigenous communities used elderberries as a key seasonal resource. The dark purple berries were rarely eaten raw. Instead, they were cooked into syrups, wines, preserves, and healing preparations. Even the creamy white blossoms were gathered, brewed into teas, or fermented into refreshing drinks. Its importance comes largely from its immune-supporting qualities. Long before laboratory studies, people recognized elderberry's ability to help the body during illness, especially in cold and flu seasons. Modern research now confirms that elderberries contain powerful antioxidants and plant compounds that support immune defenses and reduce inflammation. Elderberry syrup became a household remedy passed through families. From a growing standpoint, elderberry is generous and adaptable. The shrubs grow quickly, spread easily, and handle many soil types, from moist stream edges to drier open ground. They tolerate sun or partial shade and don't require constant care. Even neglected plants can produce heavy clusters of berries year after year. Elderberry also supports the broader ecosystem. Its flowers draw pollinators, its fruits feed birds and wildlife, and its root systems help stabilize soil along waterways and slopes. Traditionally, it wasn't just a fruit plant. It was part of an interconnected landscape that sustained people and nature together. Although elderberry is reappearing in modern herbal products, many people don't realize how simple it is to grow and use at home. Restoring elderberry to everyday life reconnects us with a plant that represents resilience, self-reliance, and long-standing foraging knowledge. Together, mayhaw and elderberry show that some of the most valuable foods aren't exotic imports. They're native plants that have quietly supported communities for centuries, waiting to be remembered.